Hello and welcome back to the channel where today I'm going to be reviewing the classic Doctor Who episode Robot, which was Tom Baker's first ever story in Doctor Who, which ran from the 28th of December 1974 to the 18th of January 1975. And this is a rewatch. But before we get into that, if you look down below and you see that the subscribe button just glowed, that means you're not subscribed. The same with the like button. That does tend to glow now when you say subscribe and like, for those that aren't subscribed to the channel. Anyway, so I will be doing these classic Doctor Who reviews every second week in a month. So 2 weeks ago, I reviewed the first Doctor's final episode, The 10th Planet. And usually I will have a poll up to determine what is the next Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who episode that I will be reviewing, except for when I was planning for February. I already picked the first two stories that I wanted to review. So an hour after this video gets uploaded, which will be 4 p.m. GMT plus 1, there will be a new poll that will last for until the next video is due out, which will be 2 weeks from today. And that will determine what I will be picking. So you'll have four options. I haven't yet to pick those four options. But with that being said, let's dive into this review. So, the first Tom Baker story. Now, as I said, this was a rewatch because back in the day, and it's something you can still do, but not so much for classic Doctor Who. Um, but on the Xbox Live Store, you could purchase digital versions of some classic Doctor Who episodes. It wasn't every episode, but it was some. And I remember discovering this, and the I begged my mother to get me some Microsoft points back when it was the 1600 Microsoft points rather than the actual normal currency that they use now, to be able to buy all four episodes of Robot. And so I did, and I watched it. So that was how I was first introduced to this story, and I still technically have access to this story on digital, but obviously I'd rather have it on physical, which is why I bought it on physical. So, Robot. What did I think upon this rewatch? Because I watched it all in the one go, and it's an all right episode. Um, it's definitely drags in a lot of places, especially in episode one. So much happens in the first 20 minutes, give or take, of the episode, the full length of the episode, that I was like, okay, where's this cliffhanger coming from? Because again, it's been a while, so I've completely forgot when that was happening. Um, so it is a unit story. It is based around unit, and it literally takes place right after the third Doctor regenerated at the end of Planet of Spiders. It opens up with that recap of the regeneration into Tom Baker, and then we also get introduced to a new companion, Harry Sullivan, the chief medical officer, or just a regular medical officer at the at Unit HQ. And so they obviously bring the Doctor back into the sick bay because he's post regeneration. And so whilst this is happening, there's been several break-ins into some high-tech security places. Um, so obviously Unit gets word of this because this thing still plans for a disintegrator gun and a some parts for it, and they're thinking at the time that it was this big convoy of people that were doing it, but it turns out it was actually a single entity, and it was a robot, the robot K1, um, which we don't find out about until like literally the cliffhanger of the episode. And I do love that. I do love the fact that we go in the entire episode only seeing from its point of view whilst it's breaking into these places and killing people, that we don't get to see what it fully looks like. And I love that we don't get to see it until literally Sarah Jane goes back into this think tank place to because she smells oil, and I think she almost slips on it, and eventually the robot appears, and the cliffhanger happens for the end of episode one. And so it's basically these think tank people that are trying to, they steal the disintegrator gun, which is a cover for what they're actually trying to do. They basically use it to destroy this really tough metal to get these nuclear codes because America, Russia, and China kind of had this came to this agreement that if anything were to happen, that they would give the nuclear missile launch codes to a third party, and that was of course the UK. And so this robot steals those plans, and it turns out it's this high society of um, brilliant minds that want to use these codes so that they can go into power. Very SS Nazi Germany type of stuff. How they just want to rule the world because of their brilliant minds and want to have the world to be that way and their way. Even because when Sarah goes to interview someone from them, he makes pass of Sarah being in trousers, which again, this is 1974, so obviously it was a thing, but it wasn't as popular, I think, at the time. Or it was some people looked down on it. They'd prefer women to be in skirts and dresses and all that stuff, not men's clothing. And so that ticks Sarah Jane off because Sarah Jane throughout the her entire time as a companion from the third and the fourth Doctor is a feminist at that time during the late 70s, early 70s to late 80s. And so eventually they go to talk to the person who made the robot. Um, turns the entire time it's a ruse where he is pretending like he's on the run, that these people, the think tank want to harm him because he's the one who made the robot and stuff. Turns out he was actually one of them the entire time, and it's all just a big ruse. And in the end, the K robot kills his creator, and then they manage to stop the countdown. But then the K robot turns out has very sophisticated AI, where the creator of the robot imprinted his mind onto it, which has never always gone well in the when this type of thing is always brought up, and because it also follows the robotics law. I forget who came up with it, um, but basically the robotics law is that the robots would never do harm to humans, and the K robot is forced to do harm to people, and that destroys its mind. And then the Brig decides to use the disintegrator gun on it, and that didn't go well. Instead of killing the robot, it made it go giant, and then we have a little bit of a King Kong type of situation where it picks up Sarah because Sarah's the only one who's ever nice to it, and puts her onto a roof. And then the Doctor comes up with this thing because the robot is made of living metal, and so he comes up with a way to kill it, and that's how that happens. And my favorite line from this episode, and it's my favorite quote that I always use an awful lot, is when Sarah calls the Doctor out for being childish, and his response is just so perfect. And it's basically, what's the point of being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes? And I just love that. And it's also the very first episode to have mention of the Jelly Babies, which will be a recurring thing throughout the entire tenure of Tom Baker. So overall, like I said, it's an all right episode. But one thing that I will give praises for in this episode is the fact that Tom Baker, this is his first story. Might not be the first one he filmed, but it is the chronological first appearance of his Doctor in a full story. And even just from episode one, he immediately feels like the Doctor to me. And now I haven't seen every first Doctor story post Regeneration from classic Doctor Who. It's only really been this and Castrovalva, which Castrovalva sucks, but I'm gonna have to add it into the collection, which means I might have to give it another watch through. But Tom really felt like the Doctor straight away. Even when I first watched this, way back when I had bought it on the Xbox Live Store, he felt like the Doctor, and that's the thing. Like some modern Doctors take a while to feel like the Doctor to me, except for Jodie Whittaker. She never really felt like the Doctor to me. But that's just the way Chibnall wrote the show. Anyway, that is going to wrap up this review. I like the story. Um, but it's definitely not the best out of the Tom Baker era, and it's definitely not the best out of series or season 12. You know, because in this season you have the Ark in Space, um, Genesis of the Daleks, which are already reviewed last year. Which I did not like Genesis. I still don't like Genesis. Then of course we have the Suntaran uh, two-parter. I think it's a two-parter. I'm not 100% sure. And then of course there's Revenge of the Cybermen as well for season 12. I think that's it. I think that's all there is in season 12. I could be wrong. Someone correct me in the comments down below if I managed to mention or all the episodes in season 12. So that's gonna wrap us up. As I said, an hour from now, I will of course have the poll for what the next um, classic Doctor Who review could be. It'll be four options. You vote on the one you want me to watch and review, and then I will have it out 2 weeks from now. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The last review for February is it's going to be my Terminator Salvation review. Yes, I'm delving back into the Terminator series as I continue on with that. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I shall see you all on Monday for my Terminator Salvation review.